I hate that you guys always ask me this. Did I keep my hand? So in the actual moment of my hand ripping off, obviously I was like bleeding out crazily.
You have to be willing to find the light though. You have to be willing to believe in yourself and to believe in your story and to believe that there's more than what you're going through and that what you're going through is going to bring you further into who you're supposed to be and your calling and find the good in it.
Lots of fun, we're sitting down, look at this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Kristie Sita and I post videos every Friday. So make sure you guys subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. Today, I am doing a video, finally, I am answering all of your guys' questions about my accident. As you guys know, if you're not new here, I was in a boating accident 5 years ago and that's when I lost my left hand. No surprise there. So if you guys are new, make sure you guys go watch this playlist up here and it will let you know and fill you in on all of the other details about that day and about the accident and after. But today specifically, I had so many questions from you guys posted from my Instagram story and as well as my YouTube community post, which they were all such amazing questions that I'm actually going to be splitting it into 3 different videos over the next couple of weeks. As you saw from the title, this one today is going to be all about questions that you guys have on the day of the accident. So not what my life was like after, not how it affected my faith or how it affected my life, but just details on that day. The big day. So yeah, let's just get right into this video and I'm excited to answer some of your guys' questions and I hope this brings you more clarity on that day. Remember, disclaimer, this was 5 years ago. I was in a lot of shock. It was a very traumatic day. I don't remember all the details. Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't. And so I'm just gonna fill you guys in on as much as I know. Let's get into it. So one of my most asked questions is why couldn't they reattach my hand? And the answer to that one is they could have. So with that, I believe I've explained this before, but there was a couple options what could have happened if they did reattach my hand. A, it could have been paralyzed. So it would have just been like a dull hand that I had no control over. So it could have been paralyzed. It could have been in so much pain that I'd have to get it re-amputated, which means I'd have to go back into surgery. They'd literally have to chop off my hand again and give it to me straight as an amputee. Or it could have been just fine. So there was a possibility that I could have gone into rehab and I could have had a fully functioning hand.
Whoa, that would be super weird.
That would be really weird. That was an option. I don't know why they didn't try, but however, I'm guessing it was because on my way to the hospital, I was telling them all about how I wanted to be a professional dancer and about life dreams and blah, 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 blah. They're like, well, let's just call her a dunzo and hopefully that will do her best. So that's why they didn't, and for your reference, I'm happy that they didn't. So these ones are 2 questions that are kind of tied in together. If I could go back, would I do anything different or do I wish that it didn't happen? There's a lot of different outcomes that could have happened on this day. I could have not cared about the rope and I would still have 2 hands. Nevertheless, to say, I don't know if that's the right word, I would not change anything that happened on that day. I would not change anything. I mean, obviously it was a very traumatic day and my life was never the same after, but I am so thankful for all the hardship and all the process and everything that I went through after the accident, because ultimately I would not be who I am today. I would not be doing what I am today if it wasn't for this day, and it changed my life for the better for every single day for it. Although it was not easy, I would not change anything because I wouldn't be me, and this is such a huge part of me. And so no, I wouldn't change anything. I think that this was just the beginning of my life on this day, and I do believe that I am on the path that God's calling me to go on, and I'm reaching the people that I'm supposed to be reaching, and I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and none of that would have happened without this accident. So it was a blessing to me. Did I feel any pain, or what did it feel like? So in the actual initial moment of my hand ripping off, I did not feel anything at all. I was in such shock that my body just completely shut down in terms of signaling it to my brain, and I was really calm for the most part. I wasn't in pain, although obviously I was like bleeding out crazily, but I didn't feel anything. I was definitely just in a state of survival at that point. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw my amputation or when I saw my new hand, obviously that was a lot of emotions that kind of happened at once, but I do remember like one of my most specific things that I realized in that moment is that I don't have a wedding finger. And so obviously your wedding finger is this one on your left hand, and I don't have that. So that was probably one of the hardest things to digest, I think. But then my family was really encouraging of just letting me know that the right man will know exactly what to do, despite my lack of wedding finger. Was I anxious or nervous for surgery? No. I was honestly so out of it at this point. I had no idea what was really going on. I just know that I was waiting to get into an emergency surgery. I was on all types of painkillers, all types of medication. Everything was numb. I did not feel anything. I was posting pictures on Snapchat saying that I was high and on drugs and that my arm ripped off. So I was not anxious, no. One thing that really did calm me down and just bring me a lot of peace is when as soon as I got into the surgery room, I did look at every single surgeon and I just told them that I knew God had a plan for me, and that was my state of mind at that point. So no, I wasn't anxious. What was the main emotion I felt when it happened? And so I'm gonna take this question as if it was literally like when it happened. And they listed sadness, confusion, shock, which was it. And I was so shocked. Like, I just remember feeling like it was a dream. Like, I got back into the boat after being in the water, and I remember driving to the boat launch and being like, no, this isn't real, this isn't real. Like, I was totally fine 2 seconds ago. This can't be real, this can't be real, this can't be happening. Like, my life was totally different 5 seconds before, and now, like, this is just not real. This is a nightmare, this is a nightmare. Obviously, that was the reality. And then tagging off that question is how long till I realized what was actually happening. And I think for me, I think I always knew kind of what was going on as soon as we did hit that boat launch and my confusion minute was over and I realized that this was real, it wasn't a nightmare, that this was happening and this was real. I think I definitely just tapped into a like survival mode, that I just was doing everything that I could to survive and be positive at that point, because it was that kind of fight in those moments. And so I just remember as soon as I got to the boat launch and they were asking me questions, I was waiting for the ambulance, I was getting helicoptered to the hospital. It was all very real to me and I knew what was going on, but I don't think I was necessarily very afraid. How did my family find out about the accident? So about this is actually after I had gotten in the ambulance, and then also the people at the boat launch were actually family friends of my parents that had known them for a long time. But initially my dad found out because I had gotten on the ambulance and I was going to the helicopter pad, where the helicopter, I'd be helicoptered from the Sunshine Coast to Children's Hospital in Vancouver. And I actually asked to call my dad. And so I called my dad and was just telling him that I loved him and that there was no alcohol involved, because it was like a lake that a lot of young people go to. So I just wanted him to know that it wasn't driven by that, and that I was okay, and that I loved him, and that I would see him soon. So that's how my dad found out, and then I'm assuming from there, my dad talked to my mom. And they were on the next ferry over to the hospital because they couldn't get helicoptered, obviously, so they had to wait at the ferry terminal to get on to take the ferry to come see me at the hospital, not knowing really what was going on or what happened. So that was how my parents found out. So these last two questions are a little bit more as if like what my life was like after amputation, but I thought I'd include them anyways because they are really close to everything that we've been talking about. So the first few days after my amputation, was I upset or optimistic? I was definitely optimistic at this point. I think the hardest part in that whole journey and that whole part of it was seeing how devastated my family was, and obviously all the fear that they would have of what my life was going to look like, because none of us really knew at that point. So I was just determined to be really strong for my whole family and everybody in the room. And so that was my fight back reaction, was just, there's no question, I'm gonna be okay. I have to keep going. This is just, you know, we're gonna work through it. And that was my mindset from the very beginning. And so I would definitely say I was way more optimistic than upset in those first couple of days. Lastly, to end this little question and answer, what does it feel like to think about that day? Triggering, scary, surreal. I think now looking back 5 years later, it is very surreal, and it feels like I never really lived through that, but it also feels like it feels like it just happened, but it also feels like I've never not had one hand. I just become really thankful for my life and thankful for my family and everything that's taken for me to get through these past couple years. And for me, like I've said in the earlier question, I just believe that like that was fully the day that my life really began. And it's just more of a celebration in my eyes. It's not a sad day. It's a day I definitely want to be with family. It's a day I want to talk about the goodness of life and God and how far that we've come, both myself and my family, since that day. So I definitely say not triggering at all, still very surreal, but very much filled with joy and filled with peace, and really just a day of celebration. And that's totally how I look back on that day now, because it has just shaped me in every way possible. And I would not be talking to you guys, I would not be in front of this camera, I would not be on YouTube probably if it wasn't for that day. And if I would be, then I wouldn't have this message, and this message is my whole purpose. So that's that. And that kind of concludes the first part of this Q&A. So that's all the questions about that day. Oh, also, one last one. I hate that you guys always ask me this, but you always do, and I don't know why, but did I keep my hand, or why didn't I keep my hand? No, you crazy people, I did not keep my hand. Why would I want to keep my hand? I would not want my hand in a jar like some of you guys are saying. I don't know what they did with it. They put it in where hospitals put limbs and bodies and dead stuff. That's where it went. So no more questions about that. I did not keep my hand. That's all. And so make sure you guys tune in my next Q&A video. I will be talking more about, my next one will be life after my amputation. You guys have tons of really good questions that I want to be able to expand on that are coming in that. So stay tuned. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, share it with a friend if they need some inspiration, or you can just share that playlist of my amputation, and it's got tons of goods in there to help somebody that might be going through something just see a more positive side of what they're going through. And yeah, whatever you guys are facing right now, just remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It is coming. Keep fighting, keep believing in yourself, because everything that's going on right now is just creating you and who you're supposed to be, and making you stronger and making you brighter. And yeah, that's something to be thankful for. So, and yeah, as usual, I love you guys so much. Make sure you comment down below if you've got any extra questions for those videos that will be coming up, because I will be double checking this before I film them. So go comment down below, what other questions do you have about my life after amputation, or my amputation, or whatever. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you guys are having the best day ever. I love you. See you in my next video.